Hey, this is Steve in Dallas, Texas. It's Saturday morning, my friend, and you are listening to Light Talk.
Good morning, this is Stan in Gainesville, Florida, and today we are discussing two-scene preset consoles, eBay, new ideas for equipment, and workplace ergonomics, all on Light Talk.
And this is David coming to you from the beautiful Belmont Shore neighborhood of Long Beach, California. And if you don't already know, you are listening to Light Talk, and we are the Lumen Brothers.
Hey, brothers.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 206. And we have some news to start off. First of all, we got this great email from Mark Ravenhill reminding us all about the PPP, or the Paycheck Protection Program. Check it out. It is still happening, and you only have until March 31st to sign up for it.
It's only happening for some people.
Yeah, well, for most people.
For those who need it, it's still happening.
First time with the breeze. This time it's like a brick wall.
Any other news, guys? You have any news?
Well, we're only 950 people away from 4,000.
But we're still growing.
Followers.
It's amazing that we're still growing. I'm surprised.
We're like a wart on the lighting industry.
I prefer referring to us as a goiter.
A goiter.
So, a goiter that never goes away.
Well, like a fungus that grows and it's moist.
So, God. Steve has our first question.
It comes from Rebel in North Carolina. And I'm just not sure if this is a he or a she.
Is that a car by AMC?
It could be anybody. Rebel in North Carolina asks, what do you think of eBay as a source of buying used equipment? Well, I think there's a lot of better places to shop for used equipment to start with. A quick look on the internet will find you half a dozen or so different shops that broker used equipment. And I think it's kind of nice to have a warranty with it. And it's kind of nice to know that whatever you pay for it, it's going to show up working. So probably eBay is not my first choice. However, having said that, I'm doing a lot more video work this year than I've done in 30 years. So I'm slowly kind of adding to my kit. I'm adding a few Mo Richardson lights that I've always wanted to have. I'm adding some Matthews equipment in, just some grip stuff. So I'm scouring eBay and going through there and slowly kind of cherry picking things that I think are in decent shape and I can look at it and seem like it's indestructible. Last night, I found something interesting on eBay. I was looking at, basically a C-stand with an arm on it. And I ran across one, and it said rare Mo Richardson C-stand with arm, used on Star Wars.
What?
$1,500. And, I don't want to, say anyone's maybe not telling the truth here, but they showed the C-stand for $1,500. And then they showed like a couple of photographs of backstage at Star Wars with like a lot of Mo Richardson equipment sitting around. So I think you buyer beware when you go to eBay. Buyer beware. And half the time, you look up something and it says it's, I don't know, $25, and you think, well, that's a good buy. And then you go to the website and you look up what the price on a brand new one is, and it's like $22.50. So, eBay, you got to be a little careful. It's like going to the flea market, except you can't dicker. You got to be a little careful on eBay. So I think unless you really know what you're doing and it's something that you really understand what it is and you can talk to the owner of it, I don't know that I would be buying a lot of used lighting equipment on eBay. I don't know. Do you guys go to eBay to fill out your stores?
Yeah. I mean, I bought a lot of stuff off of eBay, and eBay's kind of changed over the years. You will find now on eBay actually a lot of reputable sales houses on eBay that are just using eBay as a way of publicizing their sales and their equipment. So make sure, like Steve says, that you do your research on whoever's selling it. One of the things is eBay actually has a rating system, and which is legit, because I used to sell on eBay. I used to have a software, a sample company. I sold samples of vintage keyboard instruments. And matter of fact, that was the name of my company, was Vintage Keyboard Sounds. And I did that for years and, made a good, some nice change on it. But if you screw up and somebody writes a bad review on you, it will show on the ratings. There's no way you can get around that. So look for someone who's been doing it for years and make sure their ratings are like anywhere from 95% to 100% if they're a private seller. That's a good way of doing it. Because you can actually, get some good deals there. But also you can get ripped off. So yeah, buyer beware.
I don't buy any lighting equipment there, but I have been both a buyer and a seller on eBay, and I would say it's a mixed bag. I think what David says about the ratings is useful. I've gotten some great camera equipment and some beautiful vintage lenses for my Nikon on eBay that were pretty cool. And recently I bought some stuff to fix some things around the house. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. What's interesting is at first I didn't know how the bidding process worked, because it's really all about the clock. So if you're buying, it's one thing. If you're bidding, it's something else. And so you really have to get educated about the bidding process. If it's like, buy now, it's one thing. You put it into watch lists and so on. I mean, it serves a purpose. I see, the benefits of it. But like Steve says, an educated consumer might not be somebody's best customer in this particular case. So I think you do have to educate yourself. But once I freak out bidding, it's kind of cool. Because it's all about like people who swoop in at the last minute. So you got to like put your bid in and see where people are at, watch the clock, how it's ticking down. The bidding process is actually kind of fun. But so I don't know. It depends on what you're looking for. But lighting equipment, I've not used it for that at all.
Right. And you got to be careful when you bid. Yeah, sometimes you have some false bidders in there, friends of the seller, who are just bidding the price up.
Yep.
So, that's, I always shy away from that. But yeah, I've sold cars on eBay, as a matter of fact.
Did you really?
Yeah. And, again, you just have to be careful. But, getting back to what Steve was saying, as George Carlin once said, you take two sticks and nail them together, some idiot will buy it. So if you find something in your house that you said, why the hell do I still have that? Don't throw it away. Throw it on eBay.
I recently bought a circuit board to fix something, and it was absolutely the right part. Came in, put it in, didn't work. Sent it off to a circuit board repair shop in Wisconsin, and he tested it and said, this is bad. And it was already a month since the sale. The person had been paid, and I thought it was going to be fine. I didn't know what the problem. I thought something else was the problem. And then I told the person, look, I had it sent here. Here's what they told me. I'm requesting a refund. And they were sort of disappointed, but they gave me the refund because, like David says, if people are honest, it's self-policed, and that can work in a lot of respects.
And never pay by PayPal. Always pay with your credit card.
Yes, correct.
Because if you pay with your credit card, if someone sends you something that's bogus, you can just stop the charge on the credit card.
Yeah,
you
PayPal,
have rights.
PayPal doesn't work for eBay. They just make it easy. Yeah.
But don't do any cash. Don't do any instant deduction from your bank account. No, use a Visa, okay? Not a debit card, but use a credit card.
TJ in New Jersey writes, I need a new console at my high school. Do you think there is any benefit in buying a 2-scene preset?
Nope. Next question.
I have a 75 light rep lot and no movers and no plans to buy any.
Nope.
Yeah, I mean, that's like Steve would just jump in there and say, dodos. It's gone the way of the dodos. I mean, it's like
teaching those kids math with an abacus.
Yeah, there's no reason for that anymore. Yeah,
there's no reason.
Well, now, I mean, you're putting words in my mouth. Maybe what TJ needs to do. Okay, what TJ needs to do is buy that nasty console that Stan loves so much, and
Which
then
one?
The 2-scene preset.
No, then get yourself a 2-scene preset. Go on eBay and get yourself a 2-scene preset, because what you can do is you can have a little computerized light board that's a budget that works. And that's kind of the foundation of all of your shows. But there's something about learning a 2-scene preset and learning how timing works and learning how you're building a cue. There's something, if you can get it for $100, $200, it might be worth it. But I agree with Stan. There's no point going out and buying a 2-scene preset board these days when computers are so inexpensive.
I don't even know does anybody make them? Is anybody, I mean, maybe people are, back in the day that we all had expresses, that you could run as a two-scene preset. I think Steve makes a point about educationally, it's foundational, the notion of multiple presets and thinking ahead and writing your cues and cross-fading and timing or even busking on them with bump buttons, all of that sort of, but I don't know if I would recommend it for us, in a light lab, maybe for education purposes. I think we still have some of ours at UF, but I'm not sure that I would recommend it for your system in your high school theater. No.
There you go. Give Stan a call. He'll sell you one.
Yeah, we have a Stan Bay, we'll call it.
But Stan, what are you going to use for door stops if you sell those? That's the problem.
Well, I have some VL2201s.
There you go. They could be your door stops.
But they're right by the door on the floor. But you know what? I love them. They're classic. I keep them running. They're beautiful in the light lab. Fantastic optics. Still a great light.
So David in Ohio. Hey, someone with my name. Hi, David. David writes.
It's my dad's name. It's a good name.
It's blessed name. It's the blessed one.
That's right.
I don't know how I got that name.
I'm not going to cut that out of the show.
Now that we are a year into virtual shows, what lights would you have bought to make life easier in regards to the camera, the setup time, and ease of use, since we have no live audience to think about? Well, this is actually a very interesting question, because we all just sort of ran right into this, and we all made kits for locations for our students. We actually bought some very, very good lights. They were all LED. They had extremely good color rendering, and some of them had a wide range of color palettes, which was nice. The only mistake we made, and it was a big mistake as we found out, is that they were battery powered. And they only lasted about an hour and a half. And by the time you set everything up and you get all the readings and you start doing your takes, all of a sudden the batteries start running out. So that was an issue. So I wouldn't buy anything battery powered. No way. We had one light, I think, in the rig that wasn't battery powered. Also, if you're doing any green screen work, make sure that you get enough lights to do backlight. You need a light that goes above the green screen from behind it to hit the back and to rim your artist with it. Very, very important. Unfortunately, because a lot of the students were actually filming in their living rooms and bedrooms, there was very little room to actually get any distance between the actor and the green screen. But absolutely, we would add those as well. We did not have those, believe it or not. How about you, Stan? I think you got more involved in this than we did.
Listening to your life lessons, that you mentioned when it was a big life lesson for us. Early on, we were doing it, and actors were doing it in their homes. And the biggest challenge was the amount of space that they had, where the green screen could go and such. And I'd say the mistake that turned out to be a blessing was that we bought these really beautiful, I don't think we realized it when we went to the B&H website. We bought these really nice ring lights and we got really nice telescoping stands and everything, and they were tunable white, warm to cool, but we didn't realize how huge they were.
And powerful. They were like the sun.
In people's homes, we couldn't get them dim enough. We had to put them at their lowest setting and then put neutral density on them to bring them down. So that was sort of a bit of a mistake, but fast forward, now we've been doing some outdoor shooting, and we're using them outdoors. We did get the good batteries, the Sony batteries, and we charge them up, and they do pretty well. But they've been great to supplement during daylight shooting. We also have a kit of reflector boards in different colors. That's been really, really helpful on site. We bought a bunch of spots and wash lights that are made by a company called ICANN, I-K-A-N. We got those from B&H. And also we bought some cameras, and the quality of the camera, of course, really makes a difference, right? So that's like, what's the eyeball? So those are the big lessons learned. And I think I did try to work out some of that in some 3D software about the size of people's rooms and what the basic setup would be. But it was, but the big lesson was space was an issue for sure.
Well, looking back on this and kind of not wanting to spend a lot of money. So if you're looking for something inexpensive, thinking that, a couple years from now you'll be beyond this, You might look at, I think it's called Neewer, I believe, Neewer, and it's kind of an inexpensive Chinese-made equipment. But there's a couple lights, the flapjack, the flat panel, and the light ring. All three of those will do 5,600 down to 3,200 degrees. And what I have found is that the battery power was really useful. So, I'm getting, 2 or 3 hours of battery life out of them. I just have 2 batteries, one that pops in and one's being charged, and a couple stands. But once you can kind of move these 3 lights around to get what you want, it's very fast, very easy. It's cheap. If they die, you haven't lost a whole lot. But it's amazing the amount of light they put out. So something like that. But I would lean toward battery power.
Yeah, if you got really good batteries, that was the problem that we had.
Yeah, we got good batteries.
That's the trick, good batteries. That's the trick.
You got to get this. I think the Sonys were the ones that my colleague Michael Clark, who's done a lot of filming, and they're not cheap. And also walkie-talkies have been really helpful on location for us. We had some, and we had to add some to that so people could communicate. We've had to kind of reroute traffic occasionally. We've had to do some. It's really we've become like a little film shoot company this year. I haven't been doing much of it. I've just been helping from afar where I can.
What you need, I think David maybe mentioned it, or Stan, one of you two did. What you really need is someone who understands the camera and then can edit the whole thing together. We've
actually hired professional editors, and on one production, the Spring Dance, which we're doing right now in our dance studio, but we hired a cinematographer and editor person, one person who is a professional. And my students who were lighting it, they were like, boy, he can make anything look good.
Well, if you can get the information into the camera and you're not underexposed or overexposed, then there's a lot the camera can do. And if you get good contrast, then you're kind of home free.
It's that old story, garbage in, garbage out. It's hard to make something look good if the content's not good from the start. That's really the key. That's why you have great directors of photography.
Well, I'm getting ready to work on a Hedda, and I'm not a camera guy by any stretch of the imagination. But we just wrapped up one shoot, and I think we're using a 4K camera. And the camera that we're going to use on Hedda, because we're green screening it, is going to be an 8K camera.
Wow.
Cool.
Wow.
Very cool.
Well, you are listening to Light Talk, and today, Light Talk is sponsored by
Illegitimate Panda. Why, you may ask, do we need dozens of different models of moving lights? Why do we have some on the road and some sitting in the warehouse collecting dust? And why do we need to break the bank every time we buy a mover? Why not have one mover to rule them all, one mover to find them, one mover to bring them all, and in the darkness bind them? Just like Lord of the Rings. Think of the money you will save in parts and inventory alone. Well, don't worry now. You can have one mover. From across the mighty Pacific, Illegitimate Panda has heard your cry. And now, as part of our innovative Crippled Dragon series, we offer the Twista. And at only $99 US, it is a bargain. It even comes with its own travel case, the Twista. 1 part mover, 1 part mirror ball, and 1 part rain machine, and 1 part fun. That's right, it does everything a club might need. All you need to do is set a color and move the Twista to stage mode. Want to go romantic? Ease into mirror ball mode and slow things down a bit. Things heating up too much on the dance floor? Just engage rain mode and soak those dancers down. The onboard tanks can hold up to 1 gallon of water, milk, or fruit juice. And as a bonus, rain mode can also be set to fog mode. That's right, rain or fog from one fixture. Not only that, but with our voice recognition software, all you need say is Twista activate, and it goes into auto club mode. Illegitimate Panda, always thinking of things you never considered.
Man, those guys are bringing the artificial intelligence to us at a bargain price.
$99?
And a road case.
Is it made out of a plastic bag?
It's funny because it's actually terracotta.
Oh, good.
color or actually clay?
No, it's terracotta, just like those statues they found buried of all the warriors.
Gotcha.
And it's painted. It's painted like a light sea blue. It's quite pleasant to look at.
Very lovely. Very lovely.
It's heavy as hell, but it's nice to look at.
And now back to Light Talk.
Well, the sound of those crazy ducks tells us that once again, it's time for another installment of Let's Talk About. And today's Let's Talk About is all about, oh, my aching back.
Oh, my elbow's been hurting for months now from holding that mouse.
My knees.
I fell, but I can't get up. Oh,
I can't get up. Someone help me. Somebody help me.
Help. I'm in pain. I need some anti-inflammatories now.
Oh, I need something stronger.
Oh.
Anyway, today we're going to be talking about workplace ergonomics. And the reason why we're talking about workplace ergonomics is that a lot of us are going back to work.
That's right. The projects are rising on the horizon, and I am concerned about my joints in my neck.
Joints?
My joint, not those kind of joints. I'm talking about the joints that are inflamed, not the ones you burn.
Oh, that brings up an interesting question. Is medical marijuana legal in Florida?
Yes.
Okay.
There you go.
Just want to check on that.
That explains a lot.
We have dispensaries right here in Gainesville. Very nice buildings.
Because they're making a lot of money.
This is a very important subject.
It is a very important subject. Now, to the people out there who are in their 20s, you're saying, ha! These are a bunch of old farts. Of course they need it.
Start now, buddy. Start now. You're going to end up like us.
Yeah, you don't want to end up like us. I was telling Stan earlier a story. When I went to SMU, we had this terrific movement teacher. And Jim Hancock was his name, actually. Great guy. We had all these drafting tables. We had this great drafting studio. I think it's still there. And we'd be up all night drafting or painting or whatever. But we'd be sitting at our tables. And we were in our 20s. We were young tykes. But boy, it was tough because your back starts hurting, your butt starts hurting, you start looking like Quasimodo when you're walking. You lean forward. It's not good because it's hard to keep bending over and drafting. And even at the computer, you can get carpal tunnel syndrome. There's a lot of problems that you can have doing the type of work we do. And I'm not even talking about getting into the theater. We'll talk about that in a second. But Jim was this great movement teacher, and he taught Alexander technique. And one day he came to me, he said, David, he goes, what's it like, the type of work you do? Because he was really into kinesiology and everything. And I told him, he said, why don't you take my Alexander class? And I talked to some of my colleagues, and a few of us signed up for it, and it changed everything because we then knew how to stretch our spines and get out of those hunched positions. And I know that Stan has just bought a new table.
Not only a new table,
but an
an
elevated table or something like that?
I'm on a whole kick with this, okay? And it's because I've been in pain lately. So let me just tell a quick story. So I realized I needed a better chair because of all this Zoom time, right? So I did a lot of research. And so here's the news for our listeners. You don't need the best ergonomic chair, and the most expensive is the Aeron, Herman Miller. It's going to set you back like $1,500. The reason you got the Aeron is because there's 3 different sizes. So depending upon how big you are, how small you are, you can choose. But the next best thing, get this, it's the Quantum 9000. Do you hear that? It's the Quantum 9000.
Quantum 9000. What a great name.
It's a great name. It's made in Canada. It looks just like an Aeron. It's just as good. It will last a lifetime. It's open mesh, back and seat, everything you want. Arms up and down, tilt. I'm sitting in it right now. It's like heaven. And it's only $300 or so.
Wow.
Amazon or GoVets are the two now. So that has helped. But what I realized is I had, when I got the new chair, the way it was working with my desk, my arm was not on the same plane as my mouse, which it needs to be. I was actually tilting it up for about a month. And I had elbow pain. It's still there. It's not completely healed. And I couldn't figure out what it was. And then finally, because I had a day where I was grading for like 5 hours, my arm is killing me tonight. What the hell is it? And I said, what did I do all afternoon? I was grading. I was on the mouse. So that made me think, and my wife said, let me go look at how you are doing that. I said, oh, crap. I'm on like a 30-degree incline from my elbow to the mouse. So what did I do? I raised the arm, or I adjusted the arm so that my hand is on the same exact plane as the mouse. I'm getting better every day. So the chair is number one. Now, here's the other thing. We are sitting so much this year, and I got work coming in. I know I'm going to be busy. I'm going to be drafting. I'm going to be in front of the computer. Did you know, here's a tidbit. If you stand for 4 hours, don't move, just stand for 4 hours, you will burn 200 calories. Compared to sitting, where you burn none. So it's like, oh, I think I want to get a desk that rises. Now, I've wanted that for years. So I've done the shopping. I've got a desk. I've got a desktop. Push the button, up it goes. Push the button, down it goes. 3 presets. You all know how to do presets. So you can set your levels and be healthier, because we know that from sitting too many hours a day, it's seriously bad for your health. It's bad for your weight. It's bad for so many things. So I am in the process of assembling this, and I will post some images of my magic up and down desk. And I didn't buy the cheap one because this is going to last forever. So not too expensive. Again, $300. I already had a desktop. Putting it together, it's a beautiful thing. So, and also I really like really good mice as well, getting good CAD mice. So I think that paying attention to this may not pay dividends for young people right away, but it's going to pay dividends over the course of your life. So we work hard. We sit at tech tables for hours. Tech tables are another area. Maybe David, you have some suggestions about
my God.
Tech tables?
Well, I mean, look, once you're into theater, it gets even worse, because in the theater, there are a lot of things that we don't have a choice about. Like, for instance, the tech table, the seat, the chair. And we had a sponsor once who did, I forgot the sponsor's name, but they actually created their own theater seat. Those boards, the boards they put on top of the theater seats. Now, I've reached a point when I light a show, I stand about 80% of the time behind a tech table because I'm more comfortable standing. And then I'll sit down and just take breaks. And also, when you stand, you get a much better view of the stage. You're not looking through lights. You're not looking through monitors. You're not looking through all that stuff. It's easier on the eyes when you stand. Also, when you focus, you're looking up a lot. I happen to have a cervical problem. And if I look up, I could pass out. So I have to be really careful. The way I look up, I actually have to bend my whole body back. Now imagine doing that on a rake. When you raked already forward, you're bending back already, it's really difficult. So even if I didn't have this issue, looking up and down constantly and walking on a rake can be extremely, extremely painful at the end of the day. So be very careful when the way you focus. But yeah, it's a very difficult thing when you're sitting in the theater for 16 hours. And,
the cozy roadie. Steve found it at LDI one year.
The cozy roadie?
The cozy roadie, and it breaks down into a road case. Now, my Quantum 9000 is a little different than the cozy roadie because the cozy roadie has cushions, and the Quantum 9000 is an open mesh, so the air gets to all of your, the air getting to your skin is really important.
I think there's something else that's interesting you hit on. I have been in maybe 2 theaters in my life that is comfortable to work in. One of those is the Winspear Opera House, in which, I don't know about the area where the tech table is placed is on an elevator. And it can drop down, and I think 8 or 9 chairs disappear, and a tech table comes out. It's interesting because we go into these theaters, and it is the most uncomfortable place you've ever tried to work. You're sitting on a bench across the arms of chairs, or you're sitting down in a chair and you're lower than the tech table is, and you're trying to see over it. Or if you're trying to stand, sometimes you have to stand in the back of the theater. There is no place to stand. So it's interesting that all these architects have designed these theaters which are not helpful in the tech process or in the dress rehearsal process.
They
have never even considered it.
Exactly.
Well, we consider it as theater consultants as best we can.
But you do, because you're a designer too. I mean, you've been there, so that's another reason why you should have a theatrical designer as a theater consultant, because they understand the needs of people who work in the theater, not just the audience. So, yeah, I mean, what the most uncomfortable theater I ever worked at, no doubt about it, was at the old Mariinsky Theater in St. Petersburg, Russia. And
I've been there.
Have you? So you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of like cane-back chairs
It's
on
old,
the main
old
floor.
wooden chairs, exactly.
And I think it's raked in, it feels like it's a bowl.
The whole
It's like
thing's
raked in
raked.
two sections, two
And my
ways.
favorite part about the Mariinsky is that it holds about 2,000 people, which is a big theater. And there's a center aisle and two side aisles. And once all the audience comes in and they all sit down, you see all these ushers come in with more chairs, and they actually fill up the aisles with chairs, and they sell those seats. So that means that if there's ever a fire, all those people are dead because there are no fire exits.
Oh, my.
But they have enough extra seat money to build a new theater.
Right. And which they did, by the way, after the last fire. And the Mariinsky is all made out of wood, so what are you going to do? But yeah, okay, so pay attention to ergonomics because, as Stan said, you got to do it now or else you're going to feel it later. I brought up my story because I was feeling it then when I was like 22, 23 years old. So take care of yourself. And Stan, thanks for those tips on those chairs.
Yeah, I'll
check it
post
out.
some pictures of both those products. I have found them to be. I mean, it's not just sort of like a gimmick. I have really felt a difference in my
Absolutely.
in my body. It's not like this is something you should do or not do, or it's really sort of a serious thing.
And we've talked about it on the show before. Get up and walk around. Don't get stuck there. Just, I mean, you're the lighting designer, for God's sake. Say, I want to look at the show from over there.
You know, I bet it's not as hard to find a chair these days as it used to be. I'm thinking there's probably a whole gaming industry has grown
absolutely.
up with
Oh,
really
yes.
great, comfortable chairs.
Absolutely, there is.
So Steve has our last question.
It comes from Lucy in the UK. And Lucy writes, can you recall the first time you were in a theater that made a major impression on you? And I can. I was in elementary school. And this is the first time I went to the theater. I had never been to a theater before, and I don't know, I was in the 5th or 6th grade. And we went to the Carousel Theater in Knoxville, Tennessee, on the campus of the University of Tennessee. And they were doing Androcles and the Lion. It was an arena production of it. The theater seats, I don't know, 100, 150 people. So, you're never more than 12 feet away from the stage. But I had never seen live theater. And I'd seen some little tiny school plays, but I'd never been to what I felt was a professional theater company. And, I was looking at probably 19 and 20-year-old students that looked like they were ready for the Medicare, as far as I was concerned. But it was just the story being told was told in such a clear way. I never lost interest in it. And that's the thing that got me kind of interested in the theater, and I made probably 3 trips while I was in elementary school. I saw Androcles and the Lion, I saw Macbeth, and I saw The Glass Menagerie. And every time I went, it was just magical, getting on the bus and just wondering what was going to be sitting inside that theater when I got there. What about you guys? What made an impression on you?
I have 2 answers to that question. One was, and this is going to sound politically correct for my colleagues because I work in a school of theater and dance. So I have 2. One is dance, and one is theater. The dance, the first time I it's really fuzzy. I can't even tell you how old I am, but I believe I saw at Lincoln Center with my Aunt Phoebe, Swan Lake with the New York City Ballet. She always got very close seats. I don't know how she did it. And we must have been in the 4th row. And I can remember seeing the ballerinas. They felt like they were 10 feet tall, and seeing them on point and seeing those tutus and their beauty and the spinning and the men and the lifts and all of that. I just thought, this is the most magical thing I've ever seen. That just impressed me. It was the music and the scenery and the whole experience was just like, it was like being in those little winter wonderland things like that you get and you shake and the snow moves around. You had a model of New York City in them. I don't know what they were called. I felt like I was in one of those. I'll never forget it. And then for theater, it's a little bit clearer. I must have been about 8 years old. Whatever the opening month of Hair on Broadway was, I must have been like 9. I don't know what year it was. I don't think I was bar mitzvahed, so I'm less than 13. Okay, and my aunt takes me to see Hair, and she says, "This is the biggest thing. The city is everybody in New York City is freaking out about this production, and we're going to go see it." And I'll never forget it as long as I live. And what I remembered the most, I mean, the whole thing was amazing. The music was amazing, the people, but the end of Act 1, they all go underneath this sort of big silk on stage, and they're all moving around. And Jules Fisher is the lighting designer. I didn't even know who he was then. And it's side lit. It's this undulating white fabric, and you don't know what's going on under the fabric, but the tribe is disrobing. Then all of a sudden they emerge from underneath the silk, and the lights change, and there's strobes and whatnot, and everybody's naked. And I'm like 8 years old, and I'm seeing this, and my aunt, who was the library definition of a single, never married librarian. Okay, that's who she is, but loves the arts. And I'm thinking, I can't believe it. And then you watch that, everyone's spellbound because it was like hypnotic. And then the house lights come up, and there are these actors. I don't know they're actors, but they're in NYPD blue uniforms, and they have a bullhorn, and they're announcing that everyone is being arrested for viewing this nude scene. And I'm like shocked. Like, I can't believe my Aunt Phoebe has taken me to a show and has gotten me arrested at 8 years old. And of course, that wears off after about a minute or so, and everybody realizes it's a gag.
Part of the show, yeah.
Yeah, but but 8-year-old Stan did not think it was part of the show.
I've got a record. My life is ruined.
That's right. So if you're asking the question of what left an impression on me, thinking I was getting arrested at the end of Act 1 of Hair, and
that's funny,
and feeling like I was inside one of those diorama glass snow worlds that you get for Swan Lake. Those are my two stories on that.
Well, guys, I've been very fortunate in my life. I work at some of the most beautiful theaters in the world, and they are all beautiful, and they're all impressive, some more beautiful than others. Most of these are just magnificent places to see shows, to see live theater and opera and dance. But my all-time favorite theater to work in is the Harris Theater in Millennial Park in Chicago. Which is a newer theater. It's actually a theater that's only been around for about 20 years.
It's a Frank Gehry building.
Is it a Frank Gehry?
Yes,
looks like a Frank Gehry.
All of Millennium Park was Frank Gehry.
Ah, very interesting. And most of that theater, by the way, is underground, which is really interesting.
Yep.
But it is just a great theater to work in. And not because of the aesthetics. Well, kind of, because it's all kind of like metallic and modern, but dark metal, just really sort of industrial. But the lighting positions are fantastic. There's about a lighting position everywhere. So I just love that theater. Well, the rocking sounds of the Luminoids tells us that once again you've spent another morning listening to Light Talk. You can hear our show on Spotify, iTunes, Google, YouTube, liveDesignOnline.com, and just about every podcast site out there. Check out our website at lighttalk.org for future guests, and be sure to follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our podcast. That way you will not miss a second of Light Talk insanity.
No guarantee is offered regarding the accuracy of any statements or opinions made on this podcast. However,
if you were to decide that you wanted to litigate, we have this law firm called Flecht, Flocht, Flair, and Glare, and they have a paralegal named Snoot, and they will all defend us until our retirement funds are depleted.
Light Talk is written and produced by the Lumen Brothers, coming to you from Long Beach, Gainesville, and the Republic of Texas.
And be sure to join us next week when we talk about more crazy happenings in our crazy industry.
All of that and the new sponsor.
Light Talk, broadcasting questionable Lumen knowledge and humor around the world.
So we'll see you all next Saturday morning. Bye-bye from Light Talk.
Toodles.
Get a good chair.